All right. Well, welcome to our little chat here. This is a first for us, so thanks for hanging out with us.
Yeah, excuse the technical difficulties. We're not too savvy with this stuff, so thanks for bearing with us.
Yep. All right. So we got a bunch of questions from, I guess, that you guys sent to Nuclear Blast, so we're going to start with that. And then you guys can also send some questions in online as well. We'll check those out.
Yep.
First one was about tours we have coming up. So, as most of you may know here in the States anyway, we have the Decibel Magazine tour coming up in May and June. We're going out with the great Cannibal Corpse and Napalm Death. Both those bands we've known for years, and really cool guys. We know them personally for many years, and obviously great bands. So
Totally.
we're really looking forward to that. So that's our main touring going on this year, as well as in a couple of days we're going over to Holland for the 10th anniversary of the Neurotic Death Fest. Which we're really looking forward to as well.
Yeah, great fest. A lot of good bands. Well, they have great bands every year. So we played a couple of years ago. It was a great fest, and then we played a few years before that. So yeah, I think it's going to be our third time appearing there. So it's a good fest. It's a really fun fest at 013 in Tilburg, Holland, and there'll be a lot of great bands there, a lot of good people there that we know, so it should be fun. And then we come home and then we start the Decibel tour. It starts in Texas, so we're gonna start that I think on the 10th, right? Next Friday we start the Decibel tour. So yeah, so that's the immediate plans. We're gonna be playing a show in December in Costa Rica, our first time down there.
Yep, that's right.
And then we're gonna do a headlining run in Europe right now. Scheduled roughly for January, because we were just there with Marduk in October. We were there for like 6 weeks, so we figured we'd give a little time for the fans to want us back. So.
Yeah, I mean, touring sometimes it's you have to kind of pace yourself with all that as far as, and it comes down to the promoters and our booking agent. You just need the right timing for all that. So at this point, we were just waiting for the right timing. And from what we hear, January is the way to go. So it's probably going to be in January.
Yeah, we just don't want to overdo our welcome. You can't come through too many times too close together, because then it's not exciting for the fans anymore. So at least by the time we go back, it'll be just over a year since we were there, and we'll have like a whole new record of new material for everybody to be absorbed in. So yeah, so January for that. So that's the tour plans for right now.
One more question I see here regarding the tour on the Decibel tour is what is our time going to be? Your set time going to be on that tour?
Half hour.
Half hour. We're going to probably be obviously the first out of the three, so it'll be us, then Napalm, then Cannibal. So I think we have a half hour as far as what we've seen so far on that tour. So we're going to do our best to play as much as we can in that half hour.
That means one thing: fast and furious, no stops, like bang, 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 bang. So we're going to try to fit in about 6, 7 songs. A lot of new stuff. So get ready to hear some new stuff off the EP. Stuff off of Majesty. We do have a bunch of old songs off of a couple of the older records, but
we're limited on time. So I mean, obviously, we got a lot of fans out there that want to hear the old stuff, but at the same time, I mean, those fans have been around, and I think they probably want to hear us play some new songs too, because we've been playing a lot of the older songs for so many times. So and for us, we want the new stuff is strong, we feel, and we haven't gotten to really play the EP stuff out that much, if not at all. We played a couple of songs here and there on a couple of the last runs, but there's songs from that EP that we haven't played. So again, this tour is probably going to primarily go through the last 3 releases, including Kingdom, Providence, and Majesty, and we'll probably sneak in a couple from the older albums. But again, we don't have a lot of time, so that's just the way it is, folks.
But I mean, we'll definitely do another run here in the States for this record, probably springtime next year. So whatever you don't get to hear now, you may not get to hear next time.
We'll see.
So much stuff to choose from, so we'll see.
It's tough. The more records you put out, the harder it is to get a set list together. Believe me, it's probably the toughest thing in our careers to come up with a set list for every tour. So it's difficult, but we try to do our best to please everybody as best we can. I have another question here about talking about touring, about doing a retro tour, doing the whole Dawn of Possession LP in its entirety.
Nope.
Will never happen.
Never happen.
It's just
we've been asked to do that before, and don't get me wrong, we still love the old stuff. I mean, we're super proud of all of our earlier releases, including Dawn. Dawn was the album that kind of got us on the map. But we're not a band. We never were a band to kind of rely on the earlier music to sustain our career. I mean, I think that we've constantly moved forward, and I think our new stuff is probably our strongest material ever. So as a band, we like to focus on the new stuff. It'd be different if we totally changed direction and the new stuff wasn't that great, but I think the new stuff is just as strong as the older stuff, and so that's what we're about. I mean, and listen, we always incorporate songs off of Dawn of Possession in particular in every tour we do, so we never forget those songs. We always bring them back. We bring different ones back every tour, but to do that whole album in its entirety is, I don't think, really necessary, and it's not something I don't think we'd really want to do at this point. So
yeah, we have so much music over the course of the 25 years we've been together, and just to concentrate on one record. Like Ross said, I mean, the new stuff is really strong, and once you guys hear the new record, believe me, you'll see why. I mean, it's one of the strongest things we've done. It's the most aggressive. It's one of the darkest, and we
hope you think so. I mean, we think so. I mean, we're
we're not
we
just
have
saying
to like.
Trust me. We try and do the best we can in what we like, and hope that you guys will like it too. And I think we've had a pretty good track record with that. So, we are going to concentrate on and definitely the newest stuff on this particular tour. Once we have more time as a headliner, and we have an hour or so, then when we have that to play with, of course, we're going to break out as many old songs as we can. I mean, at the Neurotic Death Fest, we're definitely going to break out some more older tracks than we can on this tour coming up, because we have a little bit more time. So again, that's just how we're doing it, and hopefully everyone will like the songs that we pick, and we'll do the best we can to please everybody as best we can. I'm going to look at a couple of things that people are writing here just to see.
Can you tilt that a little bit?
I sure can.
Thanks there, champ.
No problem there, Captain. Okay. All right. Someone wants to know what kind of bass rig you're using on the upcoming tour.
I'm going to use Alex Webster's cabinets. I just got a new GK 700RB head. I had the old GK 800. I had it for 20 years. I got it in like 1990. And it went a couple of years ago. So then I got an Ampeg SVT Classic. It's a tube amp, but the tubes aren't really that practical for me live. So I'm going to keep that one for here, and I'm going to take the GK on the road because it's solid state, and it's a little bit more reliable in that regard. And I've always played through the GK, the Gallon Kruger. So yeah, I'll be using that head with Alex Webster's cabinets, whatever they may be. I'm guessing he still uses the Ampeg, the 810s. So, but I'll see. I don't know what he's playing with these days. So, but yeah, I'll be using his cabinets.
Yeah, we're all going to be using we'll use our guitar heads, and luckily Cannibal has been able to lend us their cabinets. It just makes it a lot easier. A lot of you guys girls that know when you're on the road, it's easier to just keep things more simple. So being that there's 3 bands, they were nice enough to lend their back line of cabinets to everybody, as far as us and Napalm, and it just makes the set times easier and the changeovers easier. So that's why we do it. And it makes it better for the fans. They don't have to wait as long between bands. So it's just a much smoother process for a show. So for us, it makes all the difference. Less equipment we have to take on the road, and again, it makes everything easier at the show. So it's just the way it works out. Really
Someone else is writing, how was the experience in Chile? Chile was great.
Phenomenal.
Chile, it was our first time down there. We had over 1,000 people at the show, which was just amazing for us. We totally didn't expect that.
Yeah, I mean, the guys that brought us down there,
best guys ever, man. I mean, they really they were awesome people. They took care of us. They took care of us. We had a great time, and we had a lot of fun. It was it was definitely a great trip. Everybody we met in Chile were awesome. All the fans. I mean, we met a lot of people. You know, we walked around. We signed a lot of stuff. Saw a lot of great tattoos. A lot of guys had some killer IMMO tattoos.
Really
a
cool
bunch
stuff.
of people. You know, so it was good. I mean, and we played a really long set. We played about what 20.
About 20, 21 songs.
Yeah.
So
we played a lot because we'd never been down there. So we figured, we wanted to give everybody down there a little something special. So we went. We played something off of every record, a lot of stuff off of the earlier records, a lot of newer stuff, a lot of stuff in the middle, and it was a nice long set. The crowd was great. It was really, I can't tell you what a great experience it was. Truly, it was awesome. I'd love to go back. We had a great time, and we met a lot of really great people, and we made a lot of good friends down there. So, awesome.
Yep, absolutely.
What else?
Did we have a good time in Romania? Absolutely, of course we did.
Romania's great. Romania's great. I mean, the woman who promotes us there, this is the second time I think she's promoted a show, and both times the shows were phenomenal. I think they were both sold out. They, the crowd was great, savage, just awesome. What more could you say? It was a great show, great people, and the catering was phenomenal.
Yeah, definitely some of the best catering. All right, this question definitely is not directed to me. It says, how do you deal with such long hair during long tours with sink showers?
I just don't wash it. How about that? Yeah, it's a pain in the ass. It's a pain in the ass. I go many days without washing the mop because I just don't have time. If I can grab a quick sink shower, the hair's the last thing I'm gonna be washing. So it's all metal. It's all right. It's all right.
I don't have these problems.
You don't have these problems. I saw someone said, "What's up from Krakow, Poland?"
Oh yeah.
What's up, Krakow? We've got a lot of friends in Krakow. We had a great time.
Yeah.
Had a great time.
Great city.
Yeah.
Obviously, we have
spent
friends there. Crew from Massive.
Yep. What's up, Vasek?
Yep.
And our buddy Kuba. He doesn't live in Krakow.
Close
he lives
enough.
in the woods. So Lodz.
Yeah.
But we spent some time in Krakow after the last tour. We spent a couple of days, and beautiful city. Beautiful city.
Yeah, it was an awesome time.
Yeah. Good people.
Food. Good food, good people, good time.
Yeah. You'll notice that a lot in what we say. Good food.
Yeah.
Good.
It's all about the food, kids. They want to know what our favorite song from Kingdom of Conspiracy is. And that was from Felipe. It's a hard call, I tell you. This album was probably one of the first records that it was really hard for us to get a running order because we just liked all the songs so much, and it was really tough. I like a lot of them. It's really hard to pinpoint it, honestly.
I like. It's a hard one. I mean, if I had to pick a couple of favorites, I would pick Kingdom of Conspiracy, of course, the title track, which is why we picked that for the first track. The last track on the album, I think, is just
that's got a good vibe.
Epic
to it.
as fuck. It's All That Awaits Us is the last track. It's just very dark, very sinister, very bleak. God Complex is another one. I mean, I like them all. It's hard to say.
A lot of...
And there's certain parts of certain songs that I think are just phenomenal. But yeah, like Bob said, it's our first time coming out of the studio where we were all like, excited and happy, and we weren't like, just unhappy and miserable about something. So that's a first for us. So.
Yeah, normally as soon as you get out of the studio, there's always a couple of things. That part could have been better if this or whatever. I mean, there's always a couple of little things here and there. But this one, pretty much every song, pretty much compared to the pre-production and what we were trying to achieve as far as the parts and how they were supposed to come out, pretty much nailed it, all the way. And then someone even mentioned here about the production. I just saw something.
Sorry, we're looking at the questions on the other computer, so that's why we're not distracted.
Yeah, these are the live ones coming in, so we're trying.
We're looking at the live questions.
Different mastering, dynamic range. Someone mentioned. I mean, we've been working with Zach Warren the past. This is the third release now, and I think because of that, this is the third time. I think he's gotten. The dimension of the sound has gotten even better over these releases. From Majesty and Decay to Providence to this one, I think it's just gotten better and better. I mean, you can really hear everything, but it's very powerful. Sure. You hear what's going on all the instruments, but the feeling and the emotions there, and the power of the music is there, which is something that, in our earlier releases, they had a unique sound, but there was just something that was missing as far as that power, as far as a lot of the detail,
Totally.
So Although, you know, some of the earlier records, I like some of the production, but overall, like the newer stuff, we really love a lot, and it really brings out the dynamics in the music that we try to create with the different layers of the guitar work and the drums and everything. There's a lot going on, so
Totally.
in order to have all that audible, you know,
Yeah.
it was pretty difficult. But Zach really, with Paul, you know, working in the studio, and then Zach doing the mixing and mastering, it's really come a long way,
Yeah.
which we're really happy about.
The two of them together is it's a perfect combination. I mean, you know, here's the deal. We've never had our fans either, either all love the production or, you know, or all be on board with the production. There's always someone who's critical of some aspect of our production. And, you know, the earlier days, we kind of went the more organic route. And now we try to change it up a little bit and do something different. We got Zach on board, and now the production, although it's not overly polished, it does have a better clarity to it, so you can hear everything that's going on, which is something I think that we somewhat lacked in the past. Not entirely, but you know, because it was much rawer and much more organic, you know, certain things, you know, suffered a little bit. So, you know, the combination of Paul and Zach now, I think we've kind of achieved, like, you know, what we were shooting for, to try to get that sound the way it needed to be. So, of course, you know, some people aren't going to like it because they think it's a little overpolished or this or that. And that's fine. We understand that. I mean, production is a very personal thing. You know, I come from the old, we all come from the old school days of, you know, cassette demos where the productions were horrible, but it didn't matter. I mean, it was just raw and dirty, and it was about the feeling, you know. And, you know, and you get that with something that's well produced as well. It's just, there's a fine line, you know. So, you know, we're happy with what Zach did on this last record, of course. We think it really does justice to the songs. I mean, so it's powerful, and like Bob said, it is very dynamic. So, you know, hopefully you guys dig it, you know.
All right, I'm trying to go through some of these because they're coming.
There's a lot of questions coming
now.
in.
So first of all, I just have to say that.
Let's try to go.
Yeah. Well, I just want to say, you know, Bill's sister wrote in. She says to come to Omaha. So.
Oh, hey, what's up?
Let's see what else we got here. I'm gonna go back a little bit just to see where we're at here.
Favorite song from Kingdom? We
got that one. Let's see. New Zealand, though. We're coming to, planning on coming to New Zealand. We're trying to work out some stuff for the Australia, New Zealand kind of run. Maybe earlier next year. We're in touch with someone over there now, so hopefully it'll work out. So keep your fingers crossed on that one, because we definitely want to try and get to that area. As well as we're hoping to get to Asia sometime soon too. It's been difficult because you have to go through the right people, and the timing has to be correct, and there's a lot you have to do. With paperwork, etc., to get into the countries to do stuff from over there. So in time, we're hoping to get there next year. It is in the works, so hopefully soon. Let's see. Somebody asked.
Here's a good one. Is it very difficult touring when everyone in the band has an ordinary job? Yeah, it's a pain in the ass.
It can be. I mean, it's difficult. We're very lucky that we have jobs we can go right back to when we get home. So we're very lucky in that respect. So it can be difficult at times, the timing, you know what I mean? Like this last summer, we were gone for months. So, you know,
June to like
it took a toll on, you know, where Ross is working, where I'm working, because both of us, as far as we go, you know, we're a couple of the main people at the companies that we work for. So it is a little difficult, and you kind of almost feel guilty saying, all right, well, I'm going to be gone for the next 5 months, you know. And luckily, the bosses we have understand that, because going into this, going to both these jobs when we did, they both understood that right from the get-go as far as what we did. So, you know, we're lucky.
It's just even just doing normal stuff like practicing or doing the press for the record becomes a pain in the ass, because, you know, Bob and I work 11, 12 hours a day. You know, you get home at 7, 7:30 some nights, and you have a very small window of time to rehearse for the tour, to do email interviews, which, you know, if you guys don't know, they're a pain in the ass, because you got to sit there and type out the questions.
Yeah, we got a lot. These last few weeks have been just ridiculous, because we've had email interviews, we've had phoner interviews. I'm sitting there on Skype on my cell phone, going to work, doing interviews with Europe, and then you know, working on the video trailers for us, working my job, which sometimes the last job I just had, I started at 9 a.m. in the morning and I got home 7 a.m. the next morning. So, you know, with the production jobs, I'm working 24-hour days sometimes. So, and then you're shot the next day, of course. And then, so you're trying to do all these things and rehearse at the same time. So it's a lot. I mean, we do what we have to do. I mean, don't get me wrong, but it can be a challenge, to say the least.
It's just not easy. I mean, you got to want to do it. I mean, you know, I mean, obviously we enjoy doing what we do. We enjoy doing the press and rehearsing and all that stuff. It's just the time, you know, and sometimes you're just so tired, you know, so, you know, but, you know, unfortunately you kind of have to juggle the two, you know. I mean, living close to Manhattan, I mean, things aren't cheap here, and, you know, you gotta make a living somehow. So we need to work. We need our jobs, and like Bob said, our bosses are very cool and they're very flexible, and we're very fortunate. So you know, knock on wood, you know, we're still able to do it.
Look, Jeffrey wrote.
Hey,
what's up,
missed
Jeff?
it. Hey, guy.
Hey, buddy. He says, "Do you agree that the central theme of Immolation is
the
a hidden hand of darkness, Satan in many forms?"
Absolutely, absolutely, and Jeff and I have talked about this just recently. There's always that underlying theme of the darker side of humanity, you know, and it rears its ugly head in many ways, you know, in many forms: religion, war, just where we're headed as people, you know. I mean, so yeah, that has always been a big theme in our music. It was never, you know, people kind of misconstrue our lyrics and think they were satanic in the beginning, but they never were. I mean, we were very anti-religion, and including Satanism. I mean, we were very much against that. We're against anything that controls, you know, people, and that was our feelings on that. But it was, like Jeff said, it goes much further beyond, much beyond that. You know, it is about this darker side of humanity and life in general, and that's kind of what we've honed in on for the last 25 years. You know, we're really not that miserable of people.
Yeah, but this music is, you know, when it comes to the music, I mean, that's kind of where we get our serious side going. I mean, as you can see, you know, normally we're pretty much just buffoons, but when it comes to the music, then we get serious, you know, and you know, we do look at the darker side of life and mankind, and that's what it's about for us. This music to us has always been dark. It always needs to have that dark feel, dark atmosphere, and you know, whether you're talking about the establishment or religion or just everything that Ross said, like, tends to you know, try and control and manipulate others, and that's kind of like an overall theme we've had over the years, and we just try and look at it from different perspectives and as we go, and I think we get better at it as we do with the music. I think the more albums we do, the better we get at, you know, both the music and the lyrics and how to kind of like bring that all into. Oh, hang on, I'm having a little trouble here with the computer, folks. Hang on one second. So yes, Jeffrey, that's Jeffins. This is true. Okay.
Jeffins.
Jeffrey.
Where we start now?
How is it recording an EP for Psy and AV? Do you think they will continue to make an impact in metal? Yeah, I think so. I mean,
It was great.
it was a real great experience for us. We first did pretty much, they supported a local show in New York here, a one-off that we don't normally do. And that show went great. So then after that, I think, what was it, January of 2011, roughly, or early 2011, March maybe, I forget, when we did the
The Cyan,
festival.
the Festin, where the hell was that?
Pomona, California.
Pomona.
So they did this whole festival, which they do every year in different parts of the United States, and they support, you know, all kinds of music. And that particular day is the metal day. And I mean, the one that we played had Obituary, Municipal Waste, Morbid Angel, us, a bunch of other bands, and they had like 2 venues involved, as well as 2 large tents, and took up a few blocks and closed them off. And you know, kids just got in for free, and it was a great time. It was like a mini Eurofest, you know.
But the main thing is it was free to the fans, and anything they do is geared towards the fans and the musicians, which is very unique these days. I mean, when they approached us, we had a good working relationship with them from the shows we did with them, and then they gave us money to record the Glorious Epic video, which we did with Tommy Jones, and it came out really, really good. And after that, they approached us to do the EP. And part of the agreement was that it was to be released for free for a year to the fans to download, as well as they were going to make a bunch of physical copies, CDs and vinyl, for us to give out at the shows. So you can't say no to that. It's a phenomenal deal. We didn't have to pay them back, so they pretty much funded it. They gave us the stuff to give out for free, which we did, and it was it was a gift to the fans, really. So you can't say no to that. I mean, whether you're you're not for a corporate entity like that getting involved in something that's like this underground, what they did was really really very unique, and it really benefited us and you guys. So it was a positive thing, and I think the EP, I mean, we put a lot into the EP. We wanted to make it special for the release. Bob wrote 5 brand new songs for the EP. We didn't want to approach it with the mindset that we'll re-record some old stuff and maybe throw some live tracks. That's that's nonsense.
It was it was just like any other release. It was like approaching an album, only it had less songs. So for us, it was more like, okay, let's just write 5 of the best songs we can at that time, just like we did with this last record. So we don't like to deal with covers and stuff like that. We were just more concerned with writing great songs and getting it out there to the fans. So it was cool.
And a lot of the people over there were fans of the music. They were Immolation fans, and I'm sure they were the ones who were pushing for this. So yeah, man. I mean, it was awesome, and we would most certainly work with them again. They've treated us like gold. They're really good people to work for, and they've done everything in their power to help this band. So yeah, so in the future we'll see, but the EP was a really good experience for us. So.
Someone was asking about Bill's guitars. Where does Bill get those cool Ibanez guitars from, Mr. Mortem 93?
He finds them online. He buys them. He's collected them over the years, right?
Yeah, he collects them over the years, but Bill is the master of customization. So he gets the guitars, but then he tricks them out all himself. He's really crafty like that, and he enjoys it. It's very unique to him, and he loves it. He puts a lot of time and effort into it. So just about with every release or tour that we do, pretty much every tour run, he's always got something different going on with his guitars, which is great. I think it's awesome.
Well,
I wish I could do that.
Yeah. Well, he's about every aspect of the performance, the live performance, right down to the guitar and how it looks. I mean, so he really takes his time, and when you see the guitars, I mean, everything on the guitar is, he'll always add little personalized little things on the guitar that are just Billisms. So it's
and he
great.
tries to actually do things, hints of stuff that have to do with the release that we're touring for. So
sure,
it's kind of cool, and it's cool to see that people notice that, because he does really put a lot of work into that stuff.
Yeah. And he loves those guitars. I mean, they're an older model guitar, and Ibanez, I don't think they don't make that model anymore. So yeah, he's been collecting them. He must have at least 10 or more. So every time we go out, he brings out a new pair for rotation. So yeah, that's a deal with that. Someone was asking about what is the best album. What is the best album you guys have released personally? I don't know. I'm gonna go with the new one because I'm always
that one in Providence. I mean, I love Majesty too, but I'd say definitely the last 3 are my favorite as far as overall records. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of stuff. The old stuff I love,
We're proud of everything, but you gotta.
The World Below, even Harnessing Ruin. The production wasn't the best in the world, but I think the songs were great. We love all our stuff. It's like we like the newer stuff because it's new to us, and I think it's got a lot more energy and power, and the productions, of course, help that as far as we're concerned. So yeah, I mean that's it for us. But of course, we love the old stuff too. There's a lot of old classic songs we love. So it's hard to really pinpoint, a particular favorite album, because when we go out and we play, a set that includes stuff from all the different records, and that set flows good, it's kind of cool because we like, you're dealing with old and new songs that kind of flow together really well. And so I couldn't really say anyone's particularly the ultimate favorite, because we do like all our stuff.
Oh yeah, I mean, we like all the records, obviously, and we're proud of all the records, but from our point of view, because you asked for a personalized answer, from my perspective, I enjoy the newer stuff because it's fresh. It's not something we've been playing for 25 years, so it's definitely more fun for us to play, I think. And it's a little more challenging, you know. It's like learning the new songs, you know, you're always kind of challenging yourself, you know, to move forward. So, yeah, I mean, that's why I enjoy the new stuff.
All right. A couple of people asking about the logo situation. Well, the logo situation is as such. It's like basically from Failures for Gods on, we use the newer logo, and it really has to do with the artwork and how it works with the artwork because we've noticed the logo, the original logo that we have, which we still use to this day. On the covers, it's very hard to get it in such a way where it either becomes too small or too large and destroys all the artwork. So
It just doesn't work well with the artwork.
it's very difficult. So what we do now is we use the. Oh, hang on a second. How am I getting this? Let me mute that. Thank you.
There you go.
So anyway, for the records, we use the newer logo, which is a little bit more straightforward, and we like it because it has a strong look of its own. It's simpler, but it has a strong look. But the older logo we use for, you know, whether it's merchandise or sometimes within the releases, we have it on the inside where it works better. It's just the way it is. So we haven't, you know, disowned it. We always use it to this day. If you come out and see us, we'll have shirts with that logo on it, no doubt about that. It's just that for us, it always interferes with the artwork. It just doesn't quite work on that. You know, when you have a small CD and you're trying to do the logo and the artwork, it's very hard for the artwork to be represented well with the logo, you know, being in the way, and it just doesn't work as far as we're concerned. And even, you know, some of the guys at the record label, they would push for the old logo, and then when they see what do you want to call it? The test runs for the you know, the record for the album cover.
Oh, yeah, like the mock-ups.
The mock-ups. They agree that, like, yeah, you're right. You know, it doesn't work.
Well, totally. I mean, the guys at the label, you know, Gerardo and Charles, who work at Nuclear Blast here in the U.S., they're always pushing for the old logo, and they're like, "Come on, guys, use it." And they'll
we try. We look at the mock-ups, but it just never works for us. It just doesn't have the right feel on the record.
Totally. And even when they see the mock-up with the old logo, they're like, "Yeah, not so much. You know, let's use the newer logo. It just looks better. It doesn't distract from the artwork." So there's a method to our madness. It's not like we don't like the old logo. I mean, when you come to see us live, we always have the old logo shirts because I love the old logo. The old logo's sick. You know, that was done by a good friend of ours back in the day. You know, back in 1988, a fellow by the name of Mark Mastro, who used to be in a band called Rotravor, and he did that logo for us, and it was you know, we love the logo. We still use it, like Bob said. It's on the CDs, so it's just not on the front.
Question about for coming to Colombia. Well, we'll see. I mean, we just got to Brazil and Chile, so
it took us 25 years to get to Brazil and Chile, so hopefully it won't take us 25 years to come to Colombia, guys. So we know there's a lot of fans down in Colombia. There's a lot of Colombian guys and gals here in New York City that we talk to all the time, and you know, they always want to know when we're going to be heading down to Colombia. So you know, hopefully it'll happen soon. You know, we kind of get interest here and there, but nothing solid. So, you know, we'll see.
Someone's asking about the difference sound-wise between the vinyl and the CD of the new record. Well, we haven't heard the vinyl yet, so but usually, for some reason, vinyl always sounds better.
Vinyl always sounds warmer.
It always does.
Always sounds warmer. That's just a fact. You know, it'll definitely sound different. I mean, I prefer vinyl because of the sound, you know, the warmth of it. You know, when digital first started, when CDs first came out, I just wasn't down with CDs, you know, at all. They just had a weird sound to me. But you know, you kind of you grow to accept them because you have no other choice, you know. Yeah, so
it's the way it is. Someone was asking about how often do we play locally. I guess they mentioned Long Island, but we're not so much near Long Island.
We don't, yeah.
Local shows, we don't do that often. The last local show we did as a one-off was that one for Scion back in 2010, maybe.
Yeah.
Just because Bill lives in Florida, Steve lives in Ohio, and to do a show locally here, we wait for the tours to come, and then, you know, we come through New York. It's just a little bit, it makes more sense, you know. I mean, if we all lived in New York, then maybe we do, you know, maybe we do a one-off now and then for the hell of it, but it's just not feasible right now because everyone's spread out, so it just makes more sense to wait for the tour to
Well,
come.
yeah, it just it becomes real. It becomes a big expense to get the guys up here. Then you got to stop everything just for one. It's easier for us to get together and do a tour, and we usually hit New York as part of a tour. That's how it's generally been, aside from the one-off we did with Cyan a couple of years ago, which was fun. Don't get me wrong, but it's just easier to do it as part of a tour. Really.
Let's see.
What age group do we attract the most? I'm guessing you mean at our shows. It's varied.
Yeah, it does vary.
Anywhere from 12 to 14-year-old kids to people like our age in their early to late 40s. I mean, you get a wide range of ages at our shows, which is good. I mean, I really like to see the younger people there because it tells me we have new blood in the scene, and it's good to see the diehards come out, like the guys our age come out. I mean, because I go to shows all the time here. I live for that, I like to see the bands that I enjoy come through, and we know so many bands now. It's a big social event when we go to a show, so it's fun, we enjoy it. But yeah, I think the ages vary,
Someone was asking about the 70,000 tons of metal. What was it like on that? And yeah, that was pretty incredible, actually. I don't know if anyone's out there's been on it, but that particular cruise / fest was really something else. Definitely an experience for us. Okay.
Oh, you're hitting it with your arm, I think.
Okay.
That's what's going on.
All right. Anyhow, yeah, it was really cool. I mean, just to be on the boat. I mean, that was my first cruise personally, and
all of us
to be out there and then have it to be a metal festival at the same time was pretty amazing.
Surreal.
Yeah, totally. So if anyone hasn't gotten on it yet, I would suggest definitely checking it out. There's always bands playing all night long. It's always a party. It's always a good time. Everyone's just around watching bands.
Totally.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. And then for us to play, when you're out on the deck playing on a ship, I mean, it was, they set it up very professionally, but the fact is, you're looking out there and, you're on a boat. So yeah. It was pretty wild.
It's like, just picture, a metal festival on a ship. That's exactly what it was. All like a few thousand metal people on a ship. It was just great. No matter where you went or ventured on the ship, there was just metal was everywhere. It was great. It was very cool, very cool. And they did some cool things. They had like this all-star jam where they had like, different members of different bands kind of like do cover songs, which was kind of cool. They had the karaoke every night, which I love because that's when the fans kind of went up there and
oh, that was hysterical.
And just went for it. I mean, there were some guys and gals that were just total characters, man. They really nailed it, and it was funny and entertaining. And yeah, I spent a lot of time there at nights just because it was fun,
And then we saw Vika. Vika Goes Wild. She does piano covers of metal bands. She was like one of the highlights of the tour for sure. I mean, for the cruise.
Yeah.
And she actually had done a piano cover of the song Close to or Below. So
yeah,
she actually performed that a couple of times. So for us to see her do it live was really cool. So that was a lot of fun.
Hey, if you guys haven't seen that, just go on YouTube and type in Close to or Below piano cover, and you'll see her doing and she actually played it twice on the cruise. We got to see her perform it live, but she does all kinds of stuff. She does like Carcass songs, Metallica songs. She's all over, Iron Maiden,
death metal to regular heavy metal.
Yeah.
So it's definitely. I think a lot of people were surprised when they saw her because a lot of people didn't know who she was, and they'd be walking through the main corridor and then hear metal songs on piano, and people would just start to gather. So it was pretty cool.
Well, yeah, it was cool, and there was a lot of classic bands on there as well. I mean, I got to see
Creator played on there.
Creator played. I got to see Metal Church. And the new singer is man, he killed it, just like the original singer. Because I seen them for the first record. They opened up for Metallica. A long time ago, and they were phenomenal. They killed it. So they were really good. Got to see Onslaught perform The Force, the second album, in its entirety, which was really cool. They were really cool guys. We played with them before over in Europe, so we got to see those guys, and I actually got to see them do that set. So yeah, we just kind of roamed around and would check out little, snippets of bands here and there. But yeah, there was definitely those were some of the highlights for us, I think.
All right, let's see here. I'm trying to look through some of the other questions now. Let's see. Let's see.
Vancouver, yeah, we're looking forward to Vancouver. That should be cool. The Commodore Ballroom, I don't know. We played a couple of bigger places up there in the past with Deicide and with Cannibal, but it's been so long since we've been up there, I can't remember. But yeah, looking forward to it. It's nice that we have more of an extensive Canadian run, because I remember when we announced the North American tour for the Providence, we had one show in Canada, Toronto, and all the Canadians were giving us shit for that. They're like, "Oh, what the hell? That's no North American tour. That's
not our fault. We don't book them.
We don't book it." So, but this time
we'd make a lot more stops. But
so this time I'm happy we're going to be doing a lot more in Canada, which is cool because the Canadian fans are great. Every time we go up to Canada, whether it's east, west, or in the middle, it's always good. So yeah, we're looking forward to it.
Let's see. All right, trying to find a good one here.
Yeah, we're just looking through some of the questions that are coming in.
All right, just have one. Oh, that was a good one. What bands inspired you to play death metal? Well, I mean, when we in the early days, definitely a band like Possessed for sure was a big inspiration.
Merciful Fate.
Also grew up with bands like Destruction and stuff like that. All that earlier stuff.
Definitely.
Creative, Voivod, although, not entirely exactly death metal, but I mean, it was all underground. It was all, to us, it was all from the same thing.
Well, yeah, that was
they all had a unique style or sound. And
that was our era.
Yeah, exactly. So for us, there was some of those types of bands, as well as, everything, just playing metal in general. Maiden, Priest, even earlier Metallica, Slayer, of course. You just progressively get into the heavier stuff. Totally. And then by the time we started our own group, we were, already into heavy stuff, and we just tried to take it to the next level, and that's really what it was.
It's probably no different, from the way you guys. I mean, we're fans too. I mean, the only difference is we actually were retarded enough to continue playing in the band for 25 years, but we're fans too. I mean, we started out just like probably everybody else who's watching this right now. I mean, getting into stuff like Judas Priest, early Priest, and early Maiden. I mean, Steve Harris was the reason why I play bass today. So yeah, I mean, and then it, like Bob said, it progresses. You get from stuff like that, and, from Maiden and Priest and Queensryche, even earlier stuff like Van Halen, and I love classic rock. Zeppelin's like one of my favorite classic rock bands. Pink Floyd, and then you progressively get into heavier stuff. You're always seeking out heavier stuff. That's how it was. It was like you find a couple of friends and who are into the same thing, and that's it, man. You just you'll buy things like, wow, this looks heavy, check it out. And, wow, this looks at Hellhammer, this looks great. You play it, it's phenomenal. And then they become Celtic Frost, and then you see Venom's Welcome to Hell album, you buy that, and then you're like, wow, this is it. So that's how it is. You just progressively get heavier. But yeah, like Bob said, Possessed was like a defining moment. We're like, wow, this is what we were meant to do, what these guys are doing.
Yeah, because I mean, they just had that Seven Churches record is just so
right.
Has such a dark, unique feel to it, and I think even today when you listen to it, you can sit there and be like, wow, this is pretty sick. So I mean, and then obviously all our other influences come into play too. Like we were talking about the earlier, the Maiden stuff and all that. So. I mean, guitar-wise, I always like all different kinds of bands. So I always, with us, I always try and do melody, but not so much, we like to try doing dark things with it. It's like for what we do, I try and make it as musical as possible, but at the same time, you want to keep it dark. You want to keep it to have that dark atmosphere, and that's kind of like, with those earlier records like that, like Possessed, for instance, they had that really dark atmosphere, but then the solos would be just going wild and, do all sorts of uniquely crazy stuff, as well as the drums. They had a very unique thing going on, which I always thought was cool, how they would follow some of the riffs with the drums and everything, and it was kind of cool. And So yeah, I mean that's where it all comes from. You know, like Russ said, it naturally progresses, and then you just keep listening to heavier stuff. And once we got rolling, I mean, we knew what we wanted to do, and that's what we continue to do today. Just continue to try and build upon that and make it better. Not necessarily always just more extreme, but more interesting, different every time. I mean, I don't know. We just try and do the best we can to make the best songs we can, musically as well as having as much meaning as possible. So, Charles Elliott, have you ever seen Steve without his hat?
Of course, of course we have.
We're probably the only ones. Let's see. How you doing, Charles?
Charlie. Dolan.
Superstar.
California.
Charles
superstar.
Is a total superstar.
Charles is a superstar.
Charles Elliott. Like Much Music or Music Choice on TV, you see his video come up every other 5 minutes and talks all about Charles. Charles Elliott did this. Charles Elliott did that. He's a superstar. Total superstar.
He's more of a superstar for dealing with our nonsense on a daily basis.
It's like him, Gerardo, Rob, and Mike. Man, those guys are all right. They deal with a lot of our crap.
Dominican Republic. Sure, we'd come to the Dominican. We'll play anywhere. We have to, if you guys have promoters down there, have them contact our agent over here, First Row Talent. Make it happen. Make it happen.
All right, let's see. Let's go to these questions. We're dealing with 2 different sets of questions here.
Yeah.
So
pancakes. Hey, don't mess with my pancakes. We like pancakes, but we're not writing a song about them. Sorry.
Looking forward to June 4th in Brooklyn. June 5th. Get the date right.
June 5th.
At least you'll be there the day before, so you'll know when you can go the next day. But
that's right.
It's June 5th.
It's June 5th.
Let's see.
Yeah, we're looking forward. Brooklyn show should be good.
Oh yeah. I mean, the local shows we always look forward to because we get to have our friends out and everything, so it's always a good time. And I don't think we've played that particular place before. It's Williamsburg Music Hall, I believe. Is that
Williamsburg correct? Music Hall. I think it's June 5th. So we're definitely, like the New York shows for us are always really, they're always special shows because like Bob said, we have all of our friends, our families. It's always a good night. But there's also a lot of pressure that night because all our friends and families.
Exactly.
So
well, I hope the show's going to be good.
Exactly. How often do you have a chance to rehearse as a full band? We don't rehearse as a full band anymore. Honestly, we don't. We just don't have time. So like I was saying earlier, I'll come home from work and I'll just play. We have our set list already picked, and then I just play the songs on my stereo and rehearse with the bass, and I sing along, alone, of course. Otherwise, the neighbors might think I'm a retard. But we rehearse at home. But that's what's great about this lineup. The 4 of us are very driven and motivated, and we don't have to babysit anybody. So we all practice on our own, and when we get to the first show or to the studio, we're usually good to go. There's always a couple of kinks that have to be worked out, but luckily there's no derailments. So that's the main thing.
As long as there's no derailments, we're all right,
Hello from Russia. Oh, it's morning in Russia. Well, it's evening here, but thanks. I hope we could do some more extensive playing in Russia. We've never really, been into Russia. I like to play,
We got to the Ukraine, but not Russia.
Got close. We got to the Ukraine and Latvia and Lithuania, but nothing, inside Russia, So hopefully this year, we'll see. We had a couple of opportunities, but we couldn't get the visas worked out in time. So we did have plans to do about a week and a half, 2 weeks in Russia, So, hopefully soon. So just keep posted. We always think about it. So, hopefully it'll happen this year.
Yep. And Oakland Metro, someone's seen us at. That's a cool place. I know we've been there before.
Wow.
Was it the Oakland Metro? Maybe I'm thinking of another Metro.
Was that the place we played a long time ago?
Could be. Not sure.
Wow.
But it was a good show. I know that. Oakland was definitely a good show.
92 we played in Oakland, our first tour. And it was a very popular place. I don't know if it was the Metro. It might have been the Metro. I don't know. I don't know how old this venue is. So.
Cool. All
right. What else?
half an hour. Let's see. Given your evolution in sound and riffs composition when it comes from rehearsing and finally recording in the studio, how careful are you about the loudness war in the recording process? I'm not sure what the loudness war is.
Oh, just everything louder than everything else.
Oh, yeah, I mean... Yeah.
In the studio,
okay.
In the recording studio, we don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, and in rehearsal, we don't rehearse, so we don't have to worry about that either.
But we're not one of these bands that just everything's on 11 in the rehearsal room, because it serves no purpose. You'll come out deaf at the end of the session. So
yeah, I mean, for us with the recording, we try and the idea is to hear everything somewhat equally, because everything plays an important role. I mean, the drums play an important role, the guitars, even the bass. You want to have that underlining bass feel, and of course the vocals have to be there, because what's being said has to be heard. So. It's a fine line. It's hard to get all that together, especially as you know with this kind of music. It's probably extremely difficult, more than any other kind of music out there, I'm sure. So I mean, I think again, like we talked about earlier, the last 3 releases, I think with Zach Warren on it, I think he's done quite a good job in balancing that out, where you really have some good sounds. I mean, someone was asking about the guitar rig too, as far as what we use guitar wise. I mean. In the studio, I used the head that I have. Can't remember the name of that now.
What?
I didn't use
the PV.
The PV Triple X. I've used that, but I also sometimes use the dual rectifier too. So I got confused which one. But this time I think it was just the PV Triple X, and then we used what was that one that Paul had? He had one in his studio that we also used.
Oh, it was a small one, right?
Yeah, I can't remember the name.
It was an old, like a vintage. Paul has a lot of like classic, old school, original gear in the studio, which will break out during the recording session and various records, which we have in the past. So it just depends from record to record.
And we try them out. And the funny thing is that you go through all that, and the sounds are really good. But sometimes, like with this, we ended up. Zach, or I think he had the other guy, was it Ola? They end up reamping the stuff anyway. And sometimes I think they use partial reamp, partial natural guitar work sounds, and put that together that gives it the sound it needs in the recording. So to be honest with you, this album probably has a cross between what I just mentioned as well as reamps that I couldn't even tell you what they were because they weren't done here. The ultimate goal is to what does it sound like, because honestly I could care less if they reamp it through a toaster. As long as it sounds good on the record, that's what you want, as long as you can hear everything. So we'll get examples of different sounds mixed with our stuff, and then you just want to know that the guitar sound itself is coming through. What makes the guitar clear, which one sounds the clearest and is bringing out the riffs the way they need to be, and that's the important part. So
we're not tech guys. We're not gear guys. A lot of people come up to us and they start talking shop, and me specifically, I'm definitely not. I mean, I know what I like. I know what I need to, how to achieve my sound, and that's it. But I'm not a very gear oriented person. I have what I have, and I've been using it for a long time. But and the same thing goes in the studio. We're pretty much green, and we've learned a lot over the years, but we rely on, Paul's knowledge and his ear to help us through that process. Our job is to get in there and play the songs as tight as possible, and make sure everything on end is right. And, and then we have to listen to make sure it sounds good. But, we're not like super gearheads, so.
Yeah, we do the best we can, and luckily we have, the guys that we have between Paul and Zach and what they do, they're the ones that have that technical ability to really get the sounds that we need. And again, it's just a matter of listening to the stuff. You listen to what it is, and if it sounds good, that's all that matters. I don't care where the sounds come from, as long as it sounds good in the end, that's what matters.
Totally. I see someone knows Mark Master. He lives right down the road. Say what's up to Mark, man. Tell him we gave him a shout out, man. Mark was a good friend of ours a long time ago, man. In the early days of Rotterdam. Now I know Christian Easley is carrying the torch with Rotterdam, the drummer from Rotterdam now, and Christian, our boy Christian, man, U.S. Air Force, man. Got to respect the guy. Let's see.
How do your parents react to you producing death metal? I got to tell you, our parents over the years, I mean, they put up with a lot, you know. And the
Totally.
funny thing is that just a couple of years ago, they're all between, I don't know, 65 and 80. And,
Oh yeah, totally. My
and
mom.
they came out to the show. So, I mean, they came out to the show, hung out with our friends. At the time, I think we were playing with Crizian, right?
Crizian,
And
totally.
they were hanging out with the boys in Crizian, and it was great. I mean, we couldn't ask for
Totally.
more support. I mean, they
Totally.
really...
We're very lucky, man. Our parents are great. I mean, Bob's parents are awesome. My mom is 82, and my aunt and uncle are in their 70s, and Steve's parents and Bill's parents came out to see us.
Yep.
Steve's mom hasn't come out and seen us yet, but
she's had us over for dinner.
she's had us over for dinner.
She's a hell of a cook.
Absolutely. So yeah, our parents are very supportive of us. I mean, when we first started, I don't think they really understood what it was about, and they thought, like I think most parents, that it was a passing phase. It was something we would eventually grow out of. But I think when they started seeing the fan mail, now remember this is pre-internet when we started, but when they started seeing the mail come in from every country all over the globe, they were like, wow, what do you guys have fans in these countries? You've never even left Yonkers yet, and how do you have fans over there? And that was the power of the underground, and I think I don't think they saw that, at the beginning until it started to kick in. And then once we signed with Roadrunner, it slowly started to become a reality, and now they're just very proud and supportive. My mom is, like I said, she's 82, and she's like, my biggest PR person, and I'm so not like that. I don't like any kind of attention. I kind of like to, disappear into the shadows when it comes to that shit, but she's always like, oh, my son's in a band, and I'm just like, oh.
Yeah, but they've been really cool. I mean, I remember we used to practice, at my house up in one of the bedrooms, and man, I don't even know. I can't even understand how the hell the neighbors dealt with it, because
how his father Tony, man, dealt with that shit for years.
It's just unbelievable, because the amount of noise we probably made. I mean, the houses are pretty close together, and wow, I mean, I can't even imagine. I hear, when you just hear someone down the block with a loud radio, you're like, wow, why is that guy pumping his radio? Meanwhile, we were like destroying the neighborhood, and the neighborhood behind us, and the neighborhood down below, and man, I mean, they put up with a lot of stuff. So, yep, I can only say that all the parents been pretty damn supportive, and pretty lucky about that. So, let's see, what else do we got here?
Wait, I was down here. Hang on. Mark Mastro, Cannibal Corpse, Napalm Death. How is it possible to get a tour? Yeah, it is a great tour. Cannibal Corpse and Napalm Death.
You can't do too much better than that.
Yeah. Great people.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, we're personal friends with them. I mean, they're really good guys. I mean, we have a lot of respect for them, for both of the bands. And we did like 4 tours with Cannibal Corpse when the Vile album came out. So we spent about, 4 months, on a bus with these guys. So we got to know them pretty well. They're awesome. They really are awesome people. They never let their success get to their heads. They're very grounded.
Yeah, very down to earth.
They loved it. They're very passionate about the music, and they love their fans. I mean, I have a lot of respect for those guys. And the Napalm guys. Napalm guys, man, we toured them when? 2010 in
2010, Europe. They had us out, and it was great because, it is difficult to get a bunch of bands together that, you normally would think is not a problem. And thing is, it's just there's a lot of things within, I guess, the industry that kind of prevent that, and it's tough because there's different booking agents and there's so many things involved other than the band. So it's just the way it is. But like, for instance, Napalm Death, they just called us personally and were like, hey, we want you to come out on the road. So we're like, okay, great, and that's what we did. We had a great tour, and now Decibel, put this all together, I'm sure, with, the help of Cannibal and Napalm, and we got on.
Sure.
And it's awesome, so for us to be together with those guys, for us, it's just like, I mean, it's a dream tour for us, too, to go out with, 2 great bands that are good friends of ours, and,
Well, yeah. Like I've been saying in interviews, it's not only is it a strong package, but for us it's a really fun tour to be out with people that we know and like, and we get along really well with. Everybody's pretty much like-minded. We're all on the same page musically, and it's fun. At this point in the game, you really want to go out and have a good time. It's like, we work so much at home, and we're always constantly busy. So to step outside of reality and to jump into fantasy land and to be with people who are very cool, who you respect, and before you even start the tour, it's going to be a very smooth tour. There's going to be no issues, no problems. We are all there for the same purpose, and that is to just deliver the goods every night. And we all intend to, and I have no doubt it's going to be a solid tour. It would be a cool tour to bring to Europe. Hopefully that'll happen. That would be good. A lot of people have said, wow, what a great tour. Why don't you guys bring this tour to Europe? So, that's obviously not our call, but it would be, it's a phenomenal lineup,
About re-releasing Stepping on Angels before Dawn.
Charles. Yeah, of course we got it. It's our songs. I mean, they're the demo songs. We may do that this year, kid.
Look
We'll
out.
see what happens.
But first,
Coming soon.
we'll have Providence with us on the U.S. tour. So we're finally going to release Providence. So that's the first release we're going to do.
Totally.
And then Stepping on Angels, maybe, in the near future. Maybe next year sometime. We'll see.
Somebody from Quebec says, what's up?
Friend of Luke LeMay.
Luke is the man. Good friend.
Yep.
Drew our first shirt.
Yep.
Our first loss for the second demo, but he drew the white shirt. He drew the demo cover for that. Luke LeMay drew that. He's been a good friend. We just saw him in Belgium at the Metal Mean Fest last summer.
Mm-hmm.
First time we've seen Luke in a while.
It's been a while.
But it was like we didn't skip a beat. I mean, it was like we just saw him yesterday. He's a good guy. So say what's up to Luke, please, for us. How long have I been growing my hair? 27 years. How long you been growing your hair?
I'm about 8 hours right now.
8 hours. So
yeah. So he's got a little time on me. I'm working on it. Starting now. Let's see.
Portugal. Yeah, I mean, we did the SWR Fest, which was great. I mean,
yeah, that was a good one. That was, a couple of years ago?
A couple of years ago. The organizers of that fest were awesome. Really good people. They treated us really well. We had a great time, so hopefully we'll be back. We didn't hit Portugal on the Marduk run, huh?
Nope. No,
No.
we did like 5 shows in Spain. I know that. And then, for some reason we didn't hit there.
Yeah.
But that only tells me that hopefully on the next run that we do this coming January, hopefully we will hit it,
Yeah. I mean,
unfortunately, a lot of these places, it's never really up to us. The Massive Music books the tours, and they might not have been able to find a promoter at the time. It all depends a lot on what they have to do and how they have to do it. And it's not easy. I know it's not easy making, booking these tours. And so it all depends on if they have a contact there or not. Maybe the contact that they had for Portugal just wasn't doing shows anymore, and maybe they didn't get a new one yet. So again, I'm only guessing, but I know they try and get us into as many countries and places as they can. We'll just have to wait and see what happens.
Okay, what else?
All right. No, that's more up to date than this.
This
one.
is more up to date. Okay.
So let's see. What
They're coming in really quick, the questions. So if we skip you guys, it's just they just keep coming in. So I'm trying to not skip around. But unfortunately,
what are your influences when it comes to write lyrics?
The world,
life in general.
Yeah, life in general. I mean, I think you can look around you at any given moment and find something negative to write about. Unfortunately, it's a sad statement, but it's unfortunately true. I mean, so a lot of the lyrics, especially for the new record, are derived from what we see in the world today, what's happening, what's been happening for the last number of years, and along with that, there's another question here that said, is there continuity in the subject material between the new record and Majesty and Decay?
There's always a continuity, I think.
Sure.
From the first record to this one, there's always some kind of continuity, and we talked about that earlier. But especially with Majesty, of course, and Providence. I think these are all kind of like, I think we're looking at, because we tend to look more like what's going on today now, and especially a lot of the more social type of things, but in a darker way. The issues of what's happening with our governments, with the institutions,
sure,
everything.
The economies around the world. There's a lot of real negative things going on, but I think a lot of this happens because as people, we get distracted. There's so many distractions in our world today, you know, from our little computerized phones to emails and text and social media and the TV shows and the movies and all this other stuff that keep everybody distracted, while all the really bad shit is happening under the radar, you know, and that's a fact. I mean, there's a lot of things that are happening, you know, and it's very disheartening. But for every negative thing that I see happening, there's always a group of people that are fighting back and trying to make things right. So, you know, there is hope. You know, I think I would like to think so, but I mean, you know, we're just, I think, at a very weird point in our history right now, and so that's basically what the new album's about. Yeah, and we touched on some of that as well. You know, a lot of the deeper, seedier sides of the world. You know, we try not to get too political because we've never been a political band, but there are a lot of political undertones in a lot of our records. They're there. I mean, you know, they may not be obvious, but they are there. So, but it's all. I think it all is part of the big picture. You know, it's all up to us. I mean, it's anything that's happening is you know, really comes down to our lack of being part of something positive to push against it, or just our not caring. So anyway, so yeah, without getting too into a rant about that yeah, there is definitely continuity, like Bob said.
Yeah, absolutely.
Throughout.
All right, let's see. You guys have been putting out records very steadily since Steve joined the band on Harnessing Ruin. Is there any struggle to push the envelope with albums coming out every 2 years, or is it a natural process that you've become accustomed to? I guess it is more of a natural thing. It's like I mean, Steve definitely pushes the envelope, and he's always pushing us. So, I mean, as long as he's ready to go, you know, we're ready. I mean, as far as the intensity, I think Steve has taken us to a place that we probably would have never gotten before without him. And anything I throw at him, he pretty much, you know, like I'm writing stuff on the computer, so it's easy for me, but he has to play it. So, I mean, he takes that as a challenge, and he does it, and he takes it to even a higher level. So, yeah, Steve plays a big role in taking things up a notch. But it's more of a natural thing. I mean, with every record we write, we just, you know, we try and make things more interesting, more intense. So it all comes naturally, you know, the feeling, the emotion, the intensity, the heaviness, the darkness. We're always trying to expand on that. So.
The unique thing about Steve's input is the fact that he is a fan of Immolation. He's an Immo fan, you know. When he was younger, he listened to our earlier records. So he's in addition to bringing his talent, he's bringing that fan's perspective in. So he's always like that anchor that makes sure we don't stray, you know, even though we're aware of it, but yeah. He'll always, you know, make suggestions, you know, as a fan, for example, he'll say, you know, maybe we should do more of this, or I think, you know, maybe as, you know, the older fans were like, and we, you know, we always take that into account. Yep. Not that we lose track of that, but sometimes it's hard to kind of get sidetracked, and you know, when you're in writing new stuff, you know, you're always focused on, like, you know, that forward momentum, you know, and you have to kind of, you know, step back and say, okay, you know, we don't want to lose the essence of what we're about. And I think Steve is a good... yeah,
he's definitely a big helper in that.
Yeah.
And just keeping an eye on that. I mean, that goes with anything, really. I mean, all the songs, when I get them together, for me, it's like, you know, the first judgment comes with, you know, between Ross and Steve and Bill, you know.
Oh, that's it. Like, you think you guys are bad, or the magazines, you know, we're the worst critics for him, totally. You know?
Because, I mean, I'm just like, I don't know about this one, and, you know, and they'll be like, oh, no, it's good, or I'll be like, I think this is good, and they'll be like, no.
He's his worst critic, though. I mean, you know, so many times you've come to me and like, I don't know about this one, and I'd be like, dude, what are you talking about? That's on fire. Well, definitely got to use that.
It's tough. Well, as anyone that writes music knows, you know, you try not to, one, repeat yourself, two, you want to make stuff that's going to sound right or sound the way you want it to sound. It's got to be heavy. It's got to be dark. So sometimes just when you're writing, like, you know, 80 to 100 riffs over a 2-month period, you just they're coming out like left and right. So,
but really,
you tend to like
if you
question yourself a little bit more.
If you write 100 riffs, maybe we don't use
90 of them. No,
No, we don't use 5 of them, you know, or 10 of them. I mean, really, I think most of the times he nails it, you know. And the few that we don't use, you know, even he's like, yeah, I don't know, or, you know, sometimes you'll like a riff and we'll be like, I don't know, dude, you know, it happens, you know.
But that's all right. I mean, it is what it is, you know. I mean, when you're writing stuff, you're always kind of like, oh, man, I love this. And then if the guys are like, yeah, not so much, then it's kind of hard for me. It is, but, you know, I let it go. But that's okay, because when you're writing so much stuff and you take it to heart, you know, you're like, oh, I thought this was going to be great, you know. And then Steve will be like, nah, I don't know about that one, you know. And then I'm like, oh man, you know, and then I'm like, all right, you know, and then in the end, they're absolutely right. So
well, that happened, you know. We did that once, and when we were recording "Failures for Gods," when we were recording "No Jesus, No Beast" in the studio, that song had a whole other section in it that was really bad. It was like really, when it came in, it was very
right in the studio.
It was very happy sounding, and it really didn't fit the song. And while we were actually tracking it, like I was kind of making fun of it, and Bob looked at me and he's like, wait. He's like, all right, we're gonna kill that part.
And at that point, it was different because we're actually recording together in the studio.
We were recording live.
We weren't recording the guitars and the bass, but the way we did things back then was
scratch tracks.
Steve would play, and we'd play along with him, so he could play.
Well, Alex at the time. Alex.
All right, I'm sorry, my bad. See, Steve feels like he's been since the beginning.
Yeah, totally.
So anyway, Alex would be playing the drums, and we're playing. That it was a different situation. So we're all sitting there in the studio playing together, so Alex could get the parts down, and then you have no choice but to make the change right there and then, you know, and you're sitting there in the studio, and then you're like, all right, hold on, Paul, we just have to rewrite the song for a second.
Totally.
so
you know what we did?
It does happen.
Cut that shit right out of the song. Done.
Yep. And that's happened over the course of almost every record. I mean, there's always been points where, even this last record, you know, there was a few parts that Steve would be concerned about, as well as Ross, of being too long, because they weren't quite sure what I was going to do to take up the space that was going on. And we don't know where the lyrics and the vocals are going to go exactly until the songs are done, once Ross does his vocals. So we pretty much got to a point with one of these tracks that, you know, I think the vocals were done already, and it was just a matter of a musical part, and I just luckily now we could do that. I just told Paul, yeah, we're going to drop, or I think Zach had the stuff at the time. I'm like, yeah, just drop about 8 bars of that, and then take it from there. So it's kind of cool. Now it's easier to do that. I mean,
that's right. We did do that on this record.
The first time we did it digitally, it was at probably Close to World Below. I'm sure we made some changes on that record too, but it always happens because you don't know what the stuff's going to sound like, at least the way we do things, until it's actually recorded and the vocals and everything are on top of it. And then you know, so I know when I'm going to do leads and extra overlay guitar parts, some are already done and they're going to work, and then other ones I'm not quite sure about. And that's when you realize, you're like, yeah, this is way too long. So you cut it down, and in the end, it comes out better. And Steve's really had a big part in that over the past few years of, you know, saying, hey, you know, you don't need to play stuff like 1,000,000 times, you know. And he's right, you know.
Well, yeah,
because you get caught up in it sometimes, and you think it's going to work, but it doesn't.
Yeah, it's just a little too much, and it gets boring and monotonous, you know. And we learn. Listen, we learn from our mistakes. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we try never to rehash any older shit and revisit stuff that we know isn't going to work. So. But yeah, Steve is definitely like, you know, you might want to consider cutting that down, or you know. So, but that's good though.
Absolutely.
We're usually for the most part on the same page, like 98% of the time, you know, and 2% of the time, you know, usually 1 or 2 of us are like not into something, and you know,
you have to, you know,
you have to be flexible.
It's a give and take. It's a give and take, and you have to realize that. Every person in the band, every opinion matters, you know, and you have to look at it that way, you know. So if one person's like, oh, this is the way, you know, like if I'm writing something like, wow, this is really the way it's got to be, guys, I feel real strongly about that, and everyone else is like, well, I could go either way, I don't know, you know. So then I'm just like, all right, forget it, you know.
Bob's really not a dictator.
And then it's just like, all right, you know, you just kind of say, all right, I'm going to go with that, and eventually I know that they're right. So, and more with every record, I just... You know, I trust these guys, you know, their opinions even that much more every time, because as soon as I hear one thing, I'm just like, yeah, no, we'll dump it, you know, and that's it. I think the hardest song on this record was track 7. I can't remember the name of it now.
Spectacle of Lies.
That one was a total lemon, you know. It was like, I wrote it, and I think I had it written before we went away to
Brazil,
Europe.
South America.
Right. It was written, and Steve, unfortunately, I already had him, you know, he was already rehearsing it. And then by the time I got back from there and wrote a bunch of other stuff down there, I told him, I'm like, yeah, that one's going to be completely rehashed because it had to be completely redone because it didn't really reflect. The rest of the songs all sounded like what they should be, and that one was just totally like
it was
not happening.
the odd duck out.
Yeah,
Totally.
so I pretty much rewrote the whole thing, and then I think once I did that, you know, Steve loved it a whole lot more as well as everybody else. So
it's a great song.
You know,
I mean,
now it's like definitely one of my
we're playing
favorites.
that one live. We played it on the cruise. It's a very powerful song, you know.
So yeah, so you know, things change up until the last minute. You know, with the recording process, it's just the way it is. But all right, let's see what else we got here. We don't want to keep you guys on too long, so
we don't know what our time. I mean, we could yap all night.
I don't think anybody wants that. So let's just see.
We got diarrhea of the mouth tonight.
If you could set a band on fire, which one would it be? That's just a funny question.
That's a great question. There's a few.
Let's see. Oh, who were the players that inspired both of you to pick up instruments and stuff? And, well, as mentioned, you know, I think Maiden probably had a big part. Like Ross mentioned earlier, Steve Harrison, I think definitely Dave Murray from Maiden was like, and Adrian Smith were both inspirations on me. I think Maiden was probably one of the biggest influences on us.
Totally.
As far as actually playing, you know, so.
I fucking love Maiden, man. I grew up listening to Maiden.
Phenomenal. All the earlier stuff is just phenomenal.
I saw them on the Power Slave tour with Queensryche.
Yeah.
That was a fucking great show. How was that show?
Be bothering me that for the rest of my life.
You
gotta give them the history on that one.
So Maiden did about 7 nights on the Power Slave tour at Radio City Music Hall, which is, you know, it's like a theater, you know, it's not, you know, they don't usually do metal shows there. So that was in and of itself unique. So I had tickets for 2 nights. It was in January. It was like super cold the night I went. So I saw an earlier performance, and they had added a couple of shows on, and I had tickets for one of the later performances. Bob had a ticket for one of the later performances as well. So I saw them the first night, the coldest night of the year. They were phenomenal. Queensryche opened up. It was The Warning, right? For The Warning.
Yeah, so it was like phenomenal. That was a great tour. It's like Queensryche, The Warning, and like Power Slave for Iron Maiden. Probably one of my 2 favorite albums.
It doesn't get any better for that.
And the funny thing is,
fan.
We didn't know each other back then.
We didn't know each other.
And
so then
my show got canceled. Dickinson got sick. My show got canceled, and we were like just about to head out to the show, and we heard it got canceled. We were like, really? You know?
So
and it was,
they had a makeup show at the Garden, which was actually
had
cool.
Accept, which was cool because I wasn't into Accept at the time as well.
But he missed
that combination
show.
of you know, Queensryche, Warning, and Power Slave, Iron Maiden. I missed out on that one.
So I bust his balls to this day. Like, it was a great show, and he's like, you're a dick.
All right, and on that note, I think we'll call it a night.
Yeah.
We had a good time. Thanks for listening to us sit here for the past hour and a half.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
Definitely check out the new record. We really think you're going to like it. If you're a fan of Immolation or extreme metal of any kind, I think you'll dig it. But obviously, we got all Immolation fans here. And
totally, it's
I
dark.
don't think you'll be let down. I think you'll really dig it. If you like Majesty, if you like Providence, you're going to love this record.
It's dark, heavy, and miserable, just like us.
So I guess we'll see you next time. Hopefully we'll see you on the road coming up on the Cannibal Napalm tour. And we'll see you then. Thanks for everything.
Thank you, guys. See ya.
Thanks for all the support.
See you on the road.
All right, guys.